Good morning and welcome to Ask the Security Guy. I am Holly Magnuson and I am here with Shawn Kohrman. Good morning, Shawn.
Good morning. How are you? Happy New Year.
Thank you. You beat me to the punch. I was going to, wish you a Happy New Year and you got there first. So I guess though I do want to ask, and I think I know the answer to this question, but do you do New Year's resolutions?
Me? No.
Yeah, no.
No, I'm
Somehow
not
I
a
do
fan
that.
of New Year's resolutions.
But, do you set goals, for your, are you a goal
No.
setter? No, you just go, you wing it.
I wing it.
All right. Well, that's fair
Live
enough.
life as it goes.
That's fair enough. Well, I want to welcome everyone to this first Ask the Security Guy of 2016. And Shawn's going to be making some security predictions, what we need to look out for this upcoming year. As a reminder, if you have any questions, you should see the Ask a Question option over on the right hand side. If you're watching through YouTube or don't find the Ask a Question, you can shoot over an email to training@apu.edu and my trusty intern will pass that off to me and we'll get that question asked. So please feel free to ask questions about what Shawn is talking about or other questions related to security stuff. So with that, Shawn, what is your first prediction?
Well, so the security news line has gone wild in January with the security predictions of 2016. And that, unfortunately, is because their security predictions from 2015 were unnervingly accurate. Last year, we saw over 178 million records compromised in just the US. That's disturbingly high. And there was a lot of impact done. And this year, from the looks of things and from the predictions that are out there, it's looking ugly too. So to start it off, are you familiar with the term Internet of Things?
I've heard that. That's I started hearing it when Windows 10 was kind of becoming a thing, is when I first noticed it.
Yeah, that's where your refrigerator, your toaster, your coffee maker, your smartwatch, your wearables, all those things now talk to the network. They talk to the internet, they talk to your phone, they talk to whatever. Well, from a security perspective, that's wonderful because these things have very little horsepower, almost no security controls on them, and are pretty easy to compromise and turn to nefarious tasks. So our first security prediction, from courtesy of CSO magazine, is that the Internet of Things will become a more fertile attack surface for governments, nation states, organized hacking communities, and individual hackers. What makes that even more interesting, depending on which side of that fence you're on, is ransomware, which we all know from the past year. Lock your stuff up, charge you money to get it back, customer service model, business model around it. That is going to be extended to the Internet of Things.
Very nice. One of our coworkers set up for his heating. I think it's called Nest. I mean, he's loving it. It's crazy how it's predicting when to turn on the heat and how to keep the house. And he's already looking and seeing potential of saving money on his heating cost.
And that's great.
But I can hear but. So, do I dare ask how would what would someone do? What do you see coming?
So it's not so much the information that the devices provide. That's of nominal value unless you're trying to profile somebody. What is of value is the devices themselves, because they're pushing data out somewhere to an internet or a cloud-based storage. There's a way, then there's a path, and this is going to vary by device, to get back into the device. So I'll throw out a use case that is probably pretty far-fetched.
We hope.
Let's take 1,000 refrigerators that are connected via wireless to your home network, that phone home to some cloud-based service. Let's, for sake of argument, let's use LG. just as an example, not that I've heard anything about them. But say you have 1,000 LG refrigerators and somebody figures out how to take over the computing power of that LG refrigerator, which is pretty, I mean, it's pretty small. But now they figured out a way to have that LG refrigerator launch an attack against a website. Now, if I figured out how to get 1,000 LGs, maybe I can figure out how to get 1 million or 2 million or 3 million. The idea, one of the ideas with the Internet of Things is we've already talked about ransomware, but the other idea too is to harness that computational power to launch attacks. Because these things have so little security embedded in them, because they're seen as non-threatening. It's a refrigerator. What are you going to do with it? Make the food go bad? You know, and that's how a lot of people are thinking about it. But when we think about it from a security perspective, the question really is, what else can I use it for? How can I, what other purposes is that same piece of hardware suited for? Or if I have enough of them, what can I do with it? So the Internet of Things is powerful because of the sheer numbers of these small devices. And because they're all hooking up to the Internet, now they're all accessible in one way or the other.
And so I guess the question becomes, is there any way to add security to these devices?
Well, right now, no.
That's what I always thought.
Yeah. They're because they're so stripped down, a lot of them don't either have security controls built in or even have the ability to have them added on. So you either, if it's a wireless device, you can put it on your home network, but you have no control about where it's talking to. So if it's phoning home somewhere to LG or to some cloud-based service, and that you're managing it through that service, the risk isn't your home network. The risk is whatever service it's connecting to. Mm-hmm. And the security there. So it's interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
A world of possibilities.
I'll let you break it to our friend on that you're going to hack into and change his heater settings in the middle of the night. So.
Nah, I just found out somebody I know is getting a new fridge. I can't wait.
Okay, next security prediction for 2016.
So the next one is that credit card fraud is going to change. So, a lot of us have gotten by now have gotten a new credit card or a new debit card from our bank that has a spiffy little chip embedded in it. And we're all about chip and pin. Well, chip and pin, the way most retailers in the U.S. and most banks in the U.S. are implementing it, is not that much secure than magstripe. We've taken a great technology with great potential and implemented it in such a way that it's kind of pointless. So, because the cards that you have still have a magstripe and the chip. So the old way of cloning a card still works. Furthermore, most are still relying on signature rather than an actual pin. So again, you're not getting a lot of benefit from that chip yet. Now, the idea is that it's going to be a phased approach and that they'll slowly phase out mag stripes and bring in the pin to replace the signature. But if it takes as long as it did to get chip and pin here in the first place, I mean, for crying out loud, the EU was doing this 20 years ago, or almost 20 years ago. So, and we're just now catching up. So it's a little disconcerting. But what's really interesting is card not present fraud, which is your online orders, where you're providing your card number and the 3-digit code on the back, name, expiration date, etc. That fraud was at 10 billion in 2014. And the prediction is that it's going to grow to more than 19 billion by 2018.
Wow.
That's billion. So that's a sizable chunk of change. Now, what's interesting though is that services like Google Wallet and Apple Pay are actually providing a good layer of security and preventing that type of fraud. So something to think about. I know I've been somewhat reserved about Apple Pay and Google Wallet, but given other avenues of attack with that type of fraud, it's starting to look more attractive.
Yeah, and well, and you have shared though that you felt like Google and Apple both did a really good job with their security.
Yes.
I do get questions from time to time on PayPal.
You know, this is strictly a personal, not a professional opinion. I just don't trust them. They've been in business a long time. They do a lot of good work, but I've heard of just too many compromises with them and too many customer service nightmares. So it's not, my opinion of PayPal is not really rooted in a security concern or just more as a personal customer service type issue.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I use it from time to time, and I've so far have not had problems. But like I said, I do get that question from time to time from people, about online purchases. Do you think
I do have a PayPal account. I don't link it to any of my bank accounts. I use it in a very constrained way. So I don't store my bank or credit card information there. So, but that's probably me just being overcautious on that particular point. Not that I'm known for that.
No, never.
So our next prediction is a dramatic increase in what's known as doxing. And doxing is basically public shaming, hanging out somebody's dirty laundry, private pictures, private posts, things that were never meant for the public eye, and hanging that out there. Now, so there's the public shaming aspect of that will be used by hacktivists, by people with political motivations or religious motivations. But what comes with that is the opening for extortion and a growth in that market as well through the use of stealing someone's electronic presence. Most of the pictures we take now are digital. And a lot of them tend to wind up either on our smartphone or on Facebook or on Google Photos or Drive or pick your online storage. So if it's online, somebody can get a hold of it. Basically, if a nation state's going to go after you as an individual, it's not a matter of if, it's when. Mm-hmm. But that's, again, what the security pundits out there are saying is that we're going to see a dramatic increase in doxing in the coming years.
And so, and the easy fix for that is don't take pictures of things that you would be embarrassed about.
One would think that would be common sense.
Yeah, I mean, you don't write stuff that you wouldn't want your mother to read, or whatever.
The default assumption I try to have people take is if you write something online, if you write a post, or if you take a photo that you're going to post, even if you post it out to your friends, always assume that it's going to go public at some point. So never put anything out there that you would not want to be known publicly, because there's always a risk that at some point it will become public. Mm-hmm. So another interesting observation for the coming year is a dramatic rise and change in the nature of online crime organizations. So online crime has always been lucrative, and it's become more so. And the criminal community is taking more of a business model approach, and they're organizing themselves. And one of the most interesting things about that is we're expecting to see a rise in something known as access as a service, where these criminal organizations are going to hack into various sites and then offer up access to that site to the highest bidder.
Nice.
So we've got software as a service, we've got platform as a service, we've got Amazon Web Services, and the underground community is soon going to offer access as a service for you as well. Coming soon to a not so known retailer near you.
Yeah, most of us wouldn't know how to find that kind of information. So at least I don't.
Yeah, it's surprisingly easy to find.
Just Google it, right?
Just Google it. So on the positive side, you and I'm sure our viewers know of my love-hate relationship with the password. I love to hate it.
Yes. Yes, you do. But it's all we've got right now.
And yes, it is all we've got. It is that thin line between access to the world and access to us. And you've all heard me say on numerous occasions that the password is dead. It needs to die. It needs to be put away. Well, news is that in 2016, a number of organizations are going to take a serious effort at finding alternative ways to do authentication that do not involve a password. Now, those include Bluetooth proximity, biometrics, all kinds of things, but the idea is to get rid of the password. So if we are successful and if we see dramatic progress in that area in 2016, I will be dancing in the streets.
Well, I mean, like already with my my smartphone, I use a fingerprint to get logged into it. I don't use a password for that. So
Yep.
are they looking at that, broadening that type of technology?
Broadening it and maturing it. So biometrics has historically had issues, but there's always been the means there to make it more reliable. However, R&D costs money.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're getting to a point now where the risk of exposure and the vulnerability that is the password is becoming more and more and more of a driver to get rid of it and replace it with something more secure. So if we see that happen, the heavens parted.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what, when we do the final show of 2016, how many your predictions. So I hope you've written these down so we can, look back.
I've written them down. We'll see how the year plays out. The next one, and again, we'll see how this one goes, is Cloud Wars.
Cloud Wars, is that what you said?
Cloud Wars.
Okay.
Again, this is borrowed from CSO magazine. And the idea behind Cloud Wars is that as more and more and more of our services move to Amazon or Dropbox or these online cloud-based storage and solution providers, those same providers now become an increasing target for hackers. Because now instead of me storing say we were an organization that completely outsourced our payroll and human resources record keeping to some online firm that uses Amazon services to deliver their service. So now, rather than attacking the company at whatever their facility is, I'm attacking their account on Amazon Web Services. And again, what do we come back to? The lowly password.
Mm-hmm. And people who don't think through having strong passwords, you just sit kind of scare completely through me. I just shudder to think about that.
Now, to their credit, Amazon in particular offers a very robust security suite around their services, but you have to configure it. You have to use it. You have to set it up. And if you don't, well, you didn't. But the tools are there. And a lot of the bigger companies that offer those types of services have very robust security controls around them. But again, you have to set it up. You have to monitor it. And the last one, but certainly not least, is, and I've seen this in a number of areas, is we're expecting to see some of the most dramatic and some of the very first cyber terrorism attacks in 2016. When we talk about cyber terrorism, what we're talking about is using the internet, using electronic means to take out infrastructure. Think gas lines, water lines, trains, SCADA controls, which are industrial controls, major infrastructure. Now, we've known for years that that stuff is risk, but there are rumblings that we're expecting to see stuff like that actually happen this year. Now, I certainly hope that is not the case, but the risk platform is there, and it is significant. So, and that I'm sure you've all seen the shows Preppers and those kinds of things where these guys take doomsday stuff to the extreme. However, it does give you pause. What happens if your power's out for a day? What happens if it's out for 2 days? What if the water's out? What if the traffic lights go? So it's interesting to think from an emergency preparedness standpoint. How do you handle those types of events for yourself and your family? Because if something like that happens, it's the same way we would prepare for an earthquake here in California, or if you're in the Midwest, tornado country. How do you do disaster preparedness? Well, another type of disaster is what happens if the power goes out for an extended period of time? What happens if traffic stops or is significantly jammed for an extended period of time? The vast majority of our produce, of our food, and all of that stuff is transported by truck or rail. Mm-hmm. So what happens if there's an impact to transportation? What have you done? What do you have in the house that will get you through a few days? So it's not that I want to incite fear in anybody, but I do want to incite thoughtfulness, because a lot of us, we live in earthquake country. How do we prepare for that? If a big earthquake were to roll through, the power could be down for a few days too.
Yeah, that's very true. And I was just going to say, we do, here in Southern California, we're always being reminded of the importance of being prepared for an earthquake, because,
Well, and as we talk about and consider and prepare for, and try to defend against cyber terrorism and any attack on our infrastructure, again, from our perspective, what can we do to be prepared so that we can live life and keep going in the event of a catastrophe?
So I would like you to find us a way to kind of try to end on a positive note after that one. Have not had any questions come in. If you do have a question about anything that Shawn's talked about, please, feel free to use the ask a question option should be on the right-hand side of your screen. Or like I said, you can email over to training@apu.edu. What kind of positive things are we looking for besides the potential of getting rid of passwords? Do you see any other positives coming this next year in the area of security?
I'm seeing some good trends, and the two main ones being the chip and pin and the password. So what we're seeing there is a positive direction. We're certainly not, we certainly haven't arrived by any stretch, but we're seeing movement in the right direction finally. With a focused effort on getting rid of passwords and adopting something more secure, that's a positive thing. With chip and pin technology, even though our current implementation of it is less than ideal, it is a step in the right direction. So there are good steps being taken. The sad thing is what it took to get us there. when you think about it. Those millions and millions and billions of records that have been compromised over the past several years is what led to this. Otherwise, it would have been business as usual, complacency. So, what I really want to think about and to have our viewers think about in the coming year is to be more thoughtful about what are you doing on a daily basis to enhance your own security at a personal level. Because that, when we talk about security here at APU, IMT can't protect against everything. I mean, we do our best, and we go through a lot of exercises to protect the university. But that's here. What are we doing within our homes, within our finances, with even our pantries, for crying out loud, to ensure our own security? Because at the end of the day, we're the ones responsible for our security. We have to take part in our own security. So if I were to put out anything for 2016, it was, find ways to involve yourself in your own security more than you have been in the previous years.
Yeah, and that gives me a great segue to just to let people know the training calendar will be coming out probably this afternoon or in the morning. But on January, I just want to make sure to give you the right date. January the 28th at 2:30 on West Campus, we'll be in Duke 232 doing our security awareness class and talking about ways to protect yourself and secure, at least your accounts here at work and your personal accounts to the best of your ability. So. You're invited to come to that. I hope you will.
Absolutely. Look
And
forward to seeing.
Also in February on Common Day of Learning, Shawn and I will be doing our security awareness training. And so if you've got students, family, friends who want to come to Common Day of Learning, we have not gotten the confirmation of what time or location yet. That will hopefully be soon. So.
Okay.
And as a reminder, our next hangout is currently scheduled for January the 19th in the morning, I believe at 11. And that's going to be Hangout with IMT with our repair center. Very excited about that. And having Chris Bradney and Sam Salazar talk about the repair center. And
Excellent.
Then, yeah, that should be a good one. And then watch for something new with Final Friday Wrap Up. Dante and I are very excited with what we've got planned for that, and hopefully everybody will enjoy that as well. So,
looking forward to it.
No other questions have popped up, so feel free, if you have a question later, you can contact me or Shawn at iso@apu.edu if you remember that or you know our names. And with that, we'll say goodbye and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.